Hello,
Hello.
Julianne.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm
Let me
good. How are
introduce you.
you?
Everyone, I got, I hope I don't mess up your last name too bad. I got Julianne Leskauskas. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
Oh, um, St. Rose Soccer. I know this is the first soccer interview I'm going to be doing. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Before we get started, how are you dealing with the virus, with school and, staying in shape and on top of your game?
Well, it's difficult because the parks have been closed down for a while, so trying to stay on top of my game has been difficult, but I've been driving as far as I can to find open fields and going on runs every single day. Just trying to keep my fitness, trying to keep in top shape. And with school and everything, we're doing online school.
Mhm.
So we have the online classes, which are not really difficult, but we're ending tomorrow. So
Is it just the seniors ending tomorrow, or is everybody ending?
just the seniors.
Okay. What's your feelings? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about St. Rose is doing, but not being able to walk, as kids say, for graduation.
So we haven't heard anything yet. We had to take a vote if we wanted to do virtual or not. So we haven't heard anything back yet. But I mean, it's pretty difficult and knowing that maybe I won't be able to walk, but there's more important things to focus on, I feel and I have my entire career ahead of me, so I'm if this is one thing, I'll be able to walk in college. So
That's a good mindset.
thank you.
All right, we're going to get to the fun stuff, the soccer stuff. How old were you when you first started playing soccer?
I was about 4 or 5.
Okay. Did you do any other sports?
So I used to play a little bit of basketball and softball. I did the rec teams, but I wasn't very good. So
So it was always soccer.
well, yeah, I did a little dance before actually,
Uh,
but
how
I
long
didn't
did
like that.
how long did you do that? About a year?
Yeah, I think I was in dance for 2 years actually, and then I came out of ballet class one day, and I looked at my mom, and I was like, I hate this. So I didn't do it after that.
Sounds similar to my niece. Just she just wants to play soccer and basketball. She did the dance for 2 years maybe, and that was it.
Yeah,
Any family members? Do you have any siblings?
yeah. I'm one of 4 girls, so I'm the youngest,
Okay.
and my oldest sister played some basketball, but it never really went anywhere. The sister below that, she played soccer. She actually went D3, but then got a really bad concussion and couldn't play soccer ever
Ooh.
again. And then the sister under that, the sister right above me, played in high school, and that was it.
How old are they?
So the oldest one's 30, and then 27 and 25.
Pretty spread out there.
Yep, absolutely.
Um, I got to meet your parents this past season. The most humble parents I've ever talked to, whether basketball or soccer. What have they meant to you in your growth? Being able to, play at the elite level that you play at.
They're always my biggest supporters, and I'm very, very lucky to have them because, I look at a lot of parents and, to each their own, but my parents, they want me to do really well, and they think that taking the pressure off of me and just letting me drive myself is the best way to do it, and they support me in everything I do, but they don't want me feeling overwhelmed with anything that's happening. There's some parents that scream and yell at their kids after games and all these things, and they've never done that with me. They've always just wanted me to be happy with where I'm at, and I think that's helped me a lot along the way.
Yeah. This past season, I saw a lot of that on the basketball, in the stands. I tried to sit away from the parents. The parents I do socialize with, or, more down, definitely down to earth.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons, I'm very close with Brent Farrell's father. He sits
Mm-hmm.
by himself, minds his own business. That's why me and him get along pretty well. Same thing, your mom's always by the 18, recording all your goals. So I usually hover around where she is. She, just watches the game, doesn't really say too much.
Yeah.
which and just supports their kids. How old were you when you realized, because you're an elite, elite level. When did you realize, how good, you are?
Well, I think that I realized that the soccer and the people that I was playing with were really elite when PDA, my club team started getting like really competitive, and like the first year that we went to nationals, and I'm pretty sure that was U13, and seeing that we were playing against teams from like California, like, and all over the country competing for like a national title, that was like huge for me. And seeing that colleges were already on the sidelines at 14 years old looking at us, I think that's when I realized that like my team was on like a really really high level.
When did you join the PDA? Now it's PDA North, right? You played for?
Yeah, PDA North.
Okay. How old were you when you joined them?
So I went to PDA U12.
Okay. What were
Yeah.
some of the teams you played before that?
So I originally played for my town team. I used to live up like in North Jersey, so I used to live in Wyckoff. So I played for the Torpedoes, and then since I was the town team, I was like, you know what, I want to do a little bit better. So I went and I played for World Class in Orangeburg, New York,
Oh, wow.
and that wasn't exactly a perfect fit for me.
Okay.
I hopped around a bit, and so I went and I played for New Jersey Crush, which I was actually on the original team, like one of the original teams for New Jersey Crush.
Oh,
So that also wasn't, the best place. There were just a lot of things that played into it. So I eventually went and looked at PDA, and I found my forever home there. So
yeah. My niece tried out for the PDA Summer Select. Unfortunately, she made it, but it was obviously canceled with everything going on.
yeah.
So you grew up in Wyckoff. Now I remember, when my sister, this is going back 20 years, when she played, Wyckoff was always a strong soccer town.
Yeah.
Uh, Moving on, high school, chose St. Rose. What was one of the reasons why you picked St. Rose?
So when me and my family moved here, I originally went to the grammar school. I moved halfway through 8th grade, so I went to the grammar school for half a year, and I like immediately made friends there.
Mhm.
And all of the friends that I made were going to the high school, and since we were like had just moved, I didn't want to make another switch. So that's like the biggest reason I chose St. Rose.
What town did you guys move to?
So we moved in with my aunt in Farmingdale, but now
Okay.
we're in Brio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farmingdale, that's right next to me.
Oh yeah.
Um, Hang on. So yeah, sorry, lost my train
Okay.
of thought. Entering your freshman year, what were some goals you set for yourself? Whether first just for your freshman year, and then some of the goals you might have set, for all 4 years that when you entered high school.
So originally I was pretty nervous, weirdly enough. I was like, this is high school soccer, but like these girls are way older than me. So I was like, I just want to first like make varsity, which like I had a feeling I was going to, but I was like, I just have to show myself, make varsity. And then I made varsity with two other freshmen that year, and I wanted to break the record for most goals in a season. So that was my original goal, which we got cut very short in that season because we didn't I think we had a 500 season. So we won half our games, lost half our games, and I
Mhm.
scored 21, which didn't break the record, unfortunately. But going through all 4 years, I was always determined to do that. Just like as a
What was the
personal goal.
record?
What'd you say?
What was the record?
It was 28. Yeah,
Do
the record
you
was
know who?
28 for a
Do you know
season.
who? Do you know who set that?
I think it was Lauren Gates.
Okay, don't know her.
Yeah, she used to play at St. Rose. I think it was Lauren Gates. I'm pretty positive.
Okay, I know when before I went there and when I was at St. Rose, they had a powerhouse of a soccer team.
Yeah.
That was back before soccer was a spring sport in the Shore Conference. Back right before I started high school, and I believe St. Rose was nationally ranked, but it was tough to gauge them because they played in a different season.
Uh-huh.
Who was your coach freshman year?
Mike Parcelones.
I graduated with Mike. I know him.
No
Very good
way.
coach. Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, how funny.
Very smart soccer. I talk to him once in a while. I know he's at Freehold Borough now, coaching the boys, I believe.
Yeah, he's coaching the boys team.
Yes. So sophomore year, you weren't able to play because of academy. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, PDA joined the academy, and we had the option, like a few of us, to get a waiver and play high school.
Okay.
But, you know, the DA at that point was like just starting for the girls, and like there was the opening game and everything, and everyone on my team basically just didn't play high school soccer that year because we thought DA was the thing to do.
Okay.
Quickly learned otherwise.
Yeah, I going to all the games in the shore, a lot of the parents, they explained to me the difference because when I used to coach, there was no such thing as academy soccer.
Mm-hmm.
It was either, the county select teams or ODP.
Yeah.
So this whole academy thing is new, trying to learn it,
Yeah.
help my sister, when my niece, gets a little bit older. So how did it feel being able to coming back playing your junior year?
It was one of the best feelings like ever because, seeing that I played academy my sophomore year, I saw a lot of what I missed out on. And like, it's not that people almost look at you different if you don't play for your school when you could be. Like, it's not that exactly, but you almost feel like people do. And coming back to play, it was just like a breath of fresh air being able to play with my friends again and actually have like a really good season.
Talking to some girls who graduated last year for basketball, best times of their lives, they say, is playing high school sports with the bonds that you make with your team, with the bus trips and everything.
Absolutely.
I'm going to talk about a couple of your teammates. First, let's talk about Catherine, goalie. To me, one of the best goalies in the shore.
I agree.
What did she mean, to your team, your junior, and senior years?
So, Kate McLaughlin, we call her Stonewall McLaughlin. That's our nickname for her. She's just an absolute powerhouse. She's one of the people that if you need motivation during a game, you look to her, and she's always there pushing you. And she's such an important and vital part of the team, or like she was a vital part of the team because the back line we had a lot of issues with because we had injuries and so many people were switching around and nobody really had a settled spot in the back for 2 years basically. And she was in goal just helping them out, directing them, and really saving us a lot of the time. There are games that we literally would have lost if she wasn't in goal.
Yeah, some of the games last season that I saw, some of the saves she made, and she was so underrated. She never got the, accolades that I thought she should have
I
compared to
agree, 100%.
Some of the goalies. How about Jillian?
Jilly V is a shining star in my opinion. She is one of the like easiest people to work with I've ever played with on any level, and she just is so aggressive and so smart on the ball and off the ball that she just makes the game easy. And like if I go up and I lose the ball, she's right there to cover me, and vice versa. She's amazing. I love Jill.
How many goals did you finish with your junior year?
My junior year I finished with 29.
So you set the record?
Yeah, the record was 28, I believe.
So your team went pretty far. You guys won South Jersey non-public B, right?
Yes.
Talk about that game a little bit against Trinity Hall. I was at that game. It was very cold.
Yeah. So that was the first time that we had made it to the, sectional finals in, I think, how many years? It was since 2013. That was the last time we had made it. So it was like it was a really, really big thing because girls soccer hasn't really been like a big thing in St. Rose for a while since like the last winning team. So seeing like that the turnout with like even our like fan section was there, everyone was there to support. And I don't know, we just had such a mentality before the game that like we had made it this far and fought this hard during the season, there was no way that we weren't coming out winning this. So everybody just played for each other during that game, and we scored with 8 minutes into the game and just locked in for the rest of the game.
Yeah, you scored that goal, right?
Yes, I did.
That was such an impressive goal.
Thank you.
I believe your mother actually sent me the clip from Jersey Sports Zone.
Yeah.
That was a very impressive
Thank
goal,
you.
especially high school level.
Thank you so much.
Who's your coach your junior and senior year?
Mr. Savakul and Mr. Critelli.
How is he? What type of coach is he?
They were awesome. I really loved having Mike Parcellonis as a coach, but Mr. Savakul and Mr. Critelli, or Coach Savakul and Coach Critelli, they're also my teachers. Sorry. They just got to us. They kind of they understood that we wanted to have an input in what we were doing, because our freshman and sophomore year, we had played a different formation that a lot of us were used to playing, and we were totally fine with it, but we suggested it to Mr. Savakul, and he had the idea that we should do it, and he just really wanted us to have an input in what we were doing, and it made it really easy on us. And just having the atmosphere that we did, he was always focused on making sure that the game was enjoyable for us, which was a really big part of that.
I have to say, even in games you guys trailing for a little bit, he seems like he has a very calm demeanor on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Never really, I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know, but he's never yelling on the top of his lungs. Always seems, to be pretty calm.
Yeah. It's what's funny about that is that every single time we'd be down at halftime, he'd just look at us. He'd be like, "Come on, you're better than this. I'm waiting." We'd always have to pull it out the last minute too. That tend to happen a lot. So
yeah, that's what we'll talk about a little bit. Going into your senior year, what were some goals you had entering your senior year?
Entering my senior year, I wanted to beat my record again, and I really wanted to win a state championship, which was really, really disheartening because the Rutgers prep game that had happened, and we made it to the state final the year before, and it just wasn't our game. We lost to Mobeard. So going into senior year, I really, really wanted to win a state championship, and losing to Rutgers prep in the sectional final was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was obviously at that game, and just seeing your reaction after the game, and other players, it showed how much you kids cared.
Yeah.
For the game. Now, I don't mean to go back to your junior year. Now, I was at that state final game, and my father was at that game with me, and he's coached soccer forever, and he agreed with me. It was one of the most ugliest ref games in our opinion.
I agree.
It got a little ugly, and there was one point my dad was actually down in the restroom. He didn't even see it. To me, it looked like you got forearmed in the head.
Yeah, that happened a few times.
And you were, it was right in front of the ref too, and you had to come out for a few minutes. But
yeah.
I mean, you can never use that excuse. I mean, you lost 2-0, but to me it was an ugly game, and a lot of these refs, even last season, not too good.
Yeah,
and
coming into the high school season, you kind of have to expect that. There's a lot of different reffing styles, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and to me, the main job of reffing is protect the players.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, no, but in that final, I was actually playing against two of my teammates, and she was the one player on the back line I couldn't get past, Juliette Pike on Mobeard. She is incredible. She was actually the one who forearmed me. But we're really good friends, so we made up after the game.
So it wasn't done intentionally.
Yeah.
Going back to your senior year, your team had to overcome a lot of injuries. I talked to coach about it. Your mom would always say the injuries. How were you guys able to overcome and have such a good season with somebody, it seemed like somebody else getting hurt every other game?
There was a point like going back to my junior year where that had happened near the end where we just had so many people injured. So coming into senior year when it started happening again, we knew what to expect more. So it kind of like when it happened our junior year, we kind of didn't really know what to do. But now that it was senior year, we knew that we had to change almost our style of play a little bit and get a little bit more defensive when we don't have the ball, like get tighter, knowing that, you know, if Caitlin's out, she's a huge vital part of our team. So like we had to cover that space for her and work the extra, like a little extra just to make sure that where she wasn't, like we could be, things like that.
Uh, uh, what game I wanted to talk? I want to talk about the Freehold game, Shore Conference tournament. It was, to me, it was one of the games where the injuries, you know, having a smaller bench because of injuries, it showed double overtime. It was a great game to watch. How did it feel dropping that game in double overtime?
It was awful. It was really, really awful. You know, we had never played against Freehold like previously that season or the year before, I don't think. So it was kind of a little bit of a shock, and we were like, okay, so what are we expecting? And you get there, and the field is like a monstrosity, and you're like, okay, well, can't blame the field. So, um, it was just the extra 5 minutes is where we needed the depth in the bench.
Yes.
But since we didn't have that, it just sucked the life out of us, and they just got past us and put one in. It was awful to think that we had let that go, but we did as much as we could that game.
Talked about the field. It's weird how all these public schools, a lot of their fields are hills, ball bouncing all over. You know, some of the fields, there's worse fields than Freehold that I saw this past season. Dangerous, and then, you know, St. Rose has probably one of the nicest soccer fields.
Yep, that's true.
They do a good job. I want to talk about the Holy Cross game. I was not at that game. I was at Freehold versus Monroe. Some of the Freehold parents got to know me pretty well because I caught quite a few of their games because they were a fun team to watch too. And they were laughing at me because I was getting the updates from Len from the Coast Star, and I was just pacing back and forth, debating to leave to go to this game. And then I saw you guys tied it the final minute. Explain that, how that went down.
So, okay, Holy Cross Prep, it was at Capelli, and it was a little bit frightening because the last game we had played on that field, it was against Marlboro the year before, and we played awful. So we kind of had like a little bit of that in our head going into it. We were like, okay, you know what, new game, let's start over. And lo and behold, they come out and score 2 goals on us. So all of us are like, oh my gosh, like our season is ending. And then at halftime, we sat in the corner and we were like, wait, are we really going to let our season end here? Like, there's no way. Like, it's not supposed to end today. So it was about 16 minutes left in the half. We were still down 2-0 in the second half. And I served in a corner to Katie McEwen. And she, like, headed it into the back of the net, which is something that we could always do in practice, but we never once pulled off during the season. So it was awesome to finally get that, you know, at the right time. So it was 2-1, and then there had to be maybe 30 seconds left in the game because I remember asking the ref for the time, and he was like, there's 2 minutes left, and that was about 2 minutes ago. So Katie McLaughlin's taking a goal kick, and she serves it over, and then there was like a loose ball, and Katie McEwen had moved up to the midfield, and she just put it behind the line of defense, and I ran onto it, and I saw my like one last opportunity, so I beat a player in the box, and I just ripped it as hard as I could, making sure it would go in the net, and it did. So everyone started crying after that goal because we knew that we had a chance. So that was awesome. That was like one of the best feelings ever. And then overtime. So my team gathered in for overtime, and we were like, okay, well, we just did that, so we might as well do it again. So 4 minutes into overtime, Jill gave me a ball behind, and I scored, and then we won.
Yeah, it has to be quite deflating for opposing team, especially in soccer when the other team ties it up in the last minute.
Yeah. I look at the video of that goal and I just see the defender's hands go straight into their hands go straight into their face. I'm like, I've been there before.
Yep. So you talked a little bit. Rutgers Prep was the next game, and you guys lost. It was a very evenly played game. I think you guys. I was keeping track. I do think you guys had more shots, but the possession was pretty even.
Mhm.
And 1-0, tough goal. I saw Catherine went a little nuts after that goal. Now I was on the other side of the field, so
Yes.
for her going nuts, something she never does. So to me, something seemed off.
Yeah, it was something very, very off with that. There
Yeah.
was a handball in the box, and it
Hmm.
was a really, really blatant handball. So everyone figured the ref would see it, but he didn't. There's videos from like plenty of angles, but what happened, and we fought our hardest. So it was disheartening again, but
Yeah. I mean, they were a very good team.
very, very good.
And I always, when I used to coach, you guys had opportunities and couldn't finish. So
Hmm.
I would always never blame the refs or something
No.
like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so technically your season ends, but then you get to go to the Monmouth Ocean All-Star game. How did it feel playing in that game?
I was playing with
And being selected?
a lot of my friends from other teams. So Rania Sinhaji on oh my gosh, I forget what school she goes to. That's awful. I literally just had it in my head. She goes to oh my gosh. Okay, I can remember it. Okay, well Rania Sinhaji, she's one of my friends and she plays on PDA and we got to play together. Um so we played her earlier this season and
Monmouth
Monmouth
Regional she
Regional,
goes to.
that's it, yes.
I actually have the rosters right in front of me.
That was it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. But then I got to play with some players that I've played with in the past, like Julia Eichenbaum. I used to play with her, Anna Proborkina, Alex Hummel from Wall. So that was a lot of fun, that game.
Yeah, a lot of talent on that Monmouth.
Yep, that's for sure.
And you scored a goal how quick into that game?
I think it was like 2.5 minutes in, I believe.
I left in the second half when it got a little out of control, the game.
Yeah.
I text. I don't know who voted for MVP, but I was texting the short sports network guys that I'm friends with, to make sure you got the vote. But I don't know who actually. I don't know if the coaches actually picked or if they were the ones that picked.
I think they were because I had like a really bad fall at the end where there was nobody around me. And I just fell over the ball, and they were like, simply because she fell over the ball, Jules gets MVP. So,
That's
yeah.
funny. And it was because I was sending your father messages on Twitter because he was out of the country, right? I think
so at that point.
Yeah. So I was sending him little updates, and he said your mom was sending him updates. So always fun. I didn't even know they did the All-Star games for soccer, but it was good to see.
Yeah.
I want to move on to December. You got selected, and you played in the All-American game. How did it feel being selected? Because that's a pretty big honor.
Oh, it was really incredible. It was something that I've thought about for a while because Amira Ali on Rutgers, she had gone to the All-American game, and I knew like Alexa Ferreira, another girl that used to play on Rutgers, had gone, and it was like a really, really big game. So getting selected for that was it was awesome.
Yeah, and there was quite a few New Jersey
Yes.
girls on the team.
Yes, there were.
Who are the other New Jersey girls?
So one was Becky Fluchel, who's actually on my club team. Another was Kelly McGurdy.
Okay. I talked to her father once in a while on
Yeah,
Twitter.
her father's really nice. He was actually our coach for that game.
Okay.
Sarah Brocious, who's also going to Rutgers.
Okay.
Faith Rosenblatt, who used to play on my PDA team, and who else? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. That might have been it, but there were also like a few New York girls. So we combined like New Jersey, New York. But I'm pretty sure that's all it was for New Jersey.
Um, that'd be a great experience, and especially you scored the first goal again. How did it feel being able to put in the back of the net for that game?
You know, I got into that game being like, I just want I just want us to win. I just want our team to win. So, like, East Coast has to win. That's all that was on my mind. So I was like, no matter how we do it, like, we're gonna do it. So Bree Jabs and I were talking before the game. She like was on the right wing, and she was like, I have a feeling you're gonna score. I was like, I don't know. So putting the ball in the back of the net was a really cool feeling, considering it was All American. I was like, wait, it's pretty cool. So I got to keep the ball also. So
That's great. And you also got to sign your letter of intent down in Disney. How did that feel? I mean, that's pretty unique.
Yeah, so I just thought it was really important that I sign on signing day. And I had said to my parents, I was like, I mean, I know I have my class trip to Disney, but I don't want to go if that doesn't mean I can't sign on signing day.
Okay.
And they were like, you're absolutely crazy. So you're going on your class trip. So they actually flew to Disney for a day or two. They stayed for 2 days. And they came to the hotel that we were at. They set up a whole thing. They brought all these Rutgers things, and a few of my teachers were there. A bunch of my friends came. So it was really awesome. It made it really special for me.
That's great. So you said you're moving on to Rutgers. Talk a little bit committing to Rutgers now. I believe your parents told me you committed around freshman year.
I committed, September 18th of my freshman year.
Okay. What made you know that was the school and commit at such a young age?
So this is kind of weird, but for PDA we used to use the fields at Rutgers sometimes, like when we had like a summer camp. And there's this summer camp that I had gone to, and my mom drove me. I was like, where are we? And she was like, Rutgers. And I was like, what's Rutgers? And she was like, it's a college. And I don't know, right there I was like, what if I went to Rutgers? Like, that'd be pretty cool. And I can't even tell you why I thought that, but ever since then I just had this like desire to go to Rutgers, and then finding out that Michael O'Neill was the coach, it made it that much better. So I don't know, I've always loved the school, and like I just know it's like the perfect place for me. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
How about the coaching staff pretty well?
Yes, very well.
So I want to talk a little bit about the recruiting class. Very strong recruiting class this year and next season.
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to be able to fit in and help bring Rutgers to the next level?
So the recruiting class coming in is currently ranked 8th, I think. That's one above Stanford. So, there's a lot of hope for this season. There's a lot of like really, really strong girls that are willing to put 100% in, and that's something that I think everybody like enjoys. Of course, like everybody loves a hard worker, and all the girls in my recruiting class are insanely hardworking. So bringing like to the table, we all have something new to bring to the table. So I think that it's going to be a really good season.
What are some goals you have playing Rutgers?
Eye on the prize. I want to win a Big Ten championship and an NCAA title.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah.
How about some individual goals?
Individual goals. I want to improve my game, like beyond anywhere it's ever been. And I know playing with like the girls at Rutgers is going to help me do that. And playing against some really high competition is going to help me do that. I'd like to get a few goals in my first season. And I definitely want to try and earn a starting spot as a freshman. I feel like that would be a big thing.
That'd be great. I told your parents I plan on making quite a few games.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
The last time I went to the game is when I went to school there and Carly Lloyd was playing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's a long time since I've been up there.
Wow.
But I did get to see Carly her freshman year.
Oh my god.
Unbelievable player.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about some education goals? Did you decide a major yet? Or?
Yeah, so I'm majoring in communications.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, job-wise. Well, I want to play professional.
Mm.
and I want to coach, but if there's, if my life takes me a different way, then I want to have something else to, lead off of. And I don't know, I find communications really interesting and all the classes and the electives that spur off of it. So
I mean, that's good because a lot of kids going in their freshman year have no clue. At least you have some idea what you want to do if, soccer is, ends up not being the path.
yeah,
But, I definitely, seeing your skill set, you definitely have what it takes to play on the professional level.
thank you.
So last thing, any advice for the younger kids, that want to become to the talent that you are playing soccer?
you know, Advice for younger kids, I would say never ever stop working. The fun is in the hard work. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be having fun. And bettering yourself every day is one thing that you're always going to feel good about. And I mean, just push yourself to the limit, I guess, because you never know what you can accomplish.
It's funny you said that because my sister gets on my niece because my niece has a very big head right now about her talent, and we keep trying to tell her that the other kids are working hard right now. You need to work hard to stay better than them. So
Yeah, you always want to be the hardest worker on the field. You should definitely
yes,
tell her that. That's one thing.
yeah,
Always compete to be the hardest worker on the field.
yeah. Well, right now she's the cockiest one on the field, so, which is good, but not at 8 years old. So, all right, Jules, I appreciate you joining me on this. Wrap it up now. I wish you luck next year. I definitely get up to some games and say hello to your parents for me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. No, thank you for joining.
Of course, of course.
Bye.